Welcome in, football fans, to another episode of the Bankroll Blitz. It's your boy, Mr. Brad Thomas, and my friend Prop Holiday. How are you doing today?
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing?
Last week was a tough start for the podcast. We both went 1-2. The game that I was most disappointed in was the Washington football team. That defensive line was supposed to give Herbert and company trouble. I felt like they couldn't get a sack. They couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. Their quarterback goes down, yet somehow they're still in it to win it towards the end of the game. That's all that you can ask for when you're losing a bet, is you have a chance to win towards the end of the game.
No, it's true. I also went 1-2, ironically. I hit on Damian Harris on his over on receiving yards. I missed on the Ferkser Revolution. He finished with 19 instead of getting 25. But what really crushed my weekend was Baker Mayfield over 7.5 rushing yards. He had 7.5, and he did nothing in the second half of the game. So 1-2, but we're looking up and we're looking forward to week 2.
That Baker loss was kind of tough there too, because it looked like he got 8. Like, it was like, man, he looked like he got 8 on that run.
Oh, it was tough. It was tough to watch, but forward, we move forward.
Forward, it's a new week. So I'm going to start my first bet of the weekend. The Seattle Seahawks are inviting the Tennessee Titans to their home. They have not had fans in their stadium since 2019. The spread opened at 4.5, 5 range, depending on which book you're looking at. It's moved all the way to 6. I don't care. I'm taking the Seahawks -6. Listen, the Tennessee Titans last year were an elite offense. They were top 8 in offensive efficiency, and the Arizona Cardinals turned them down. Bottom 3 in offensive efficiency week 1. It was disgusting. Chandler Jones was able to rack up 6 sacks. They had 8 sacks total. When you have a guy single-handedly demolishing your prized left tackle and Taylor Lewan, you have to make some adjustments. But the problem for Lewan is that he's coming off an ACL injury. I'm down to attack that every single time, and the biggest benefit for the Seahawks is the offensive side of the ball. Tyler Lockett looked great. DK Metcalf looked great. Russell Wilson looked amazing. It's like these guys are almost unstoppable when they're playing at home. At home last season, even without fans, 6-3 against the spread with an average margin victory of 7. I'm going to go ahead and back this with full confidence. Any thoughts on this game?
No, I fully support it. I think Russell Wilson is Mr. September. Obviously, the 12th man will be ringing. They haven't been there in 2 years. And I think DK Metcalf goes off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to probably get Janoris Jenkins in coverage, which is it's a gimme. So whatever his line is, I think it opened at 73.5. It's probably somewhere around 77, but I think we're going to see a very big game out of Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, I'm so stoked for this game. I mean, it's going to be one of those situations where the cameras are rocking. It kind of reminds me of Las Vegas inviting Baltimore in town, where I knew they were going to be raucous at the beginning, but throughout the entire game, whenever they had the on-field cameras, you could just see the camera shaking, the screen shaking. So lay out what you got for your first bet.
I'm jumping over to the Cleveland game, Cleveland's home opener. I have David Njoku over 20.5 receiving yards at -110. I think it went up to 22.5, but I still like it there. So he had 3 receptions for 76 yards in week 1. He led the Browns as a team in receiving yards. The implied odds have him at 2 catches for this game, and his yards per target are about 15. So that in itself puts him at 30 yards. This line is much lower. I think just yesterday, Odell Beckham is out, which means they don't have a big play person, and David Njoku is that guy. He has the ability to catch the ball and move upfield. He had 5 targets in week 1, which was tied with Jarvis Landry and Anthony Schwartz for most on the team. And then let's look at the matchup. So they have the Houston Texans. What did the Houston Texans do last week? They gave up 6 receptions for 48 yards to James O'Shaughnessy, who is no David Njoku, at least talent-wise. So I love Njoku over 20.5. If you get it at 22.5, it's just as good. I would play this possibly up to 27-30. This guy needs to really turn around his career. Obviously, they signed Hooper. He's been asking for a trade. So if he can improve his trade value before the deadline, he could be a mover and shaker. And he's certainly talented. I think he was a first-round pick at some point.
Hey, like I said, that Browns offense, it's going to be great. Quarterback has time. Baker Mayfield is going through his progressions, and they were able to rack up over 420 yards last game. I continue that offense to still succeed. Go ahead and spin me your next play.
All right. The Chargers that you were just mentioning before against week 1 against the Washington football team, I love Mike Williams. So Mike Williams over 53.5 receiving yards at minus 115. Week 1, he went off. He had 12 targets, which was one shy of his career high 13. He finished with 8 catches for 82 yards. Now, Hunter Henry's gone, so Mike Williams has solidified himself as the number 2 receiving target behind Keenan Allen. Let's look at the matchup. The Dallas Cowboys defense is bad, like really, really bad. They're going to be in track meets all season. The pass rush just took a hit. DeMarcus Lawrence broke his foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, so I think Herbert's going to have a lot of time to push the ball deep downfield. From a matchup standpoint, Dallas Cowboys' best cornerback is Diggs. He's likely going to get Keenan Allen. That leaves Anthony Brown on Mike Williams. Anthony Brown last week against the Bucs gave up 8 receptions on 9 targets, over 100 yards. He gave up a touchdown, and the passer rating against him was 155.8. The last reason I love this, the guy's in a contract year. I love betting on guys who are betting on themselves. So I like Mike Williams to blow this out of the water. You could play this up to potentially 60, and I would feel comfortable. Also, he's got an over 4.5 receptions at plus 120, if you're feeling froggy, but the yards should be good enough as it is.
Hey, that's sweet, man. Listen, I'm high on the Chargers this weekend. The second I saw this Dallas line at -3, I kind of was interested in Dallas, and they took another hit to their pass rush, like you mentioned. This was going to be one of my plays on this podcast, but I did not want the line to move and hold it out here. I'm really, really high on this Chargers team with the improvements that they made to the offensive line. I was a firm believer, and you know, it was only week 1, so I don't want to get too high on a specific team, but I've always been a firm believer. It doesn't matter if you get new improvements on your offensive line. That doesn't instantly make you better. Look at the Giants. The Giants did that. They got a bunch of new players, and their offensive line didn't get better. I'm talking about 2 seasons ago. Well, for the Chargers, they looked fantastic on their offensive line, and Justin Herbert looked good. And not to mention that I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, so I know all too well about how the Dallas secondary got eaten alive. Diggs, for those who don't know, Diggs was a wide receiver in college who was a late DB convert. He's rangy and has a very high ceiling, but he still has a lot to work out. Anthony Brown got tore up, got toast. I love this play. I'm going to back it. You know, I don't bet player props too often, but when I get a chance to go into a bad secondary and it's a wide receiver, I'm all for it. My second play is my favorite play of the weekend. Green Bay Packers team total over 35.5 points. Listen, the Green Bay Packers, they stunk last week, and that's as transparent as it could possibly be. They were 1 for 10 on third down against the Saints. They were playing in Jacksonville. Look, come on. But the Saints did travel pretty well from looking at the game. I think that this is one of those situations where a lot of people would say that Aaron Rodgers looks checked out, this and that, yada, yada. I'm not a buyer. I'm not a believer in it because Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback who likes to win. For a lot of the couch coaches, I like to call them, when they talk about football players, they act like these football players are all prima donnas and would rather lose and sabotage their legacies and instead of go out there and compete. That just doesn't happen at the pro level with future Hall of Famers like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I can't just back this up with just thoughts. It has to be backed up with stats and actual data that we can correlate it with. The Green Bay Packers last year, when they played against the Detroit Lions, on the road, they scored 31 points. Aaron Rodgers threw for over 3 touchdowns. At home, they scored 42 points. Aaron Rodgers lit them up again, and this was the Devontae Adams show. The Detroit Lions last year finished dead last in defensive efficiency. Guess where they finished last week? Dead last. Yeah, they had a great comeback and ended up covering the closing number, but we're not caring about the spread. I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to make a statement in front of their fans on Monday Night Football and score at least 35 points. So that's my first bet. I mean, this is my favorite bet of the weekend.
No, that's awesome. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you saw the former number 3 pick, I think last year, Jeffrey Okudah. He's out. He's out for the season. I think Devontae Adams goes off. 2 touchdowns. If you can find the line, him to score 2 touchdowns is probably going to be like plus 400. If you could throw that in a same game parlay, him to score 1 touchdown is probably going to be like minus 150. There's going to be a lot of chalk on it. But I think going home, again, home opener. I love the theme of home openers this season, especially with COVID last year. Adams and Rodgers are really going to have a connection. There's going to be no one back there who can stay step for step with Devontae Adams. So any Devontae Adams props you see, jump all over them. I know it's the Monday night game. I haven't seen anything yet, but if they're out there, the team total seems completely reasonable. They're going to show their fans that last week was really kind of fluky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing I didn't mention was, working up in the north, I have to track weather all the time. The weather there looks phenomenal. Great fall football weather. So I'm not worried about them having to air out the ball in crazy winds or any rain. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and lay on your last play for me.
My last line, and it kind of reminds me of last week's Damian Harris, which was over 3.5 receiving. I thought it was a broken line. I thought it was a glitch. And then I found this one, and I thought the same thing. So maybe we make it a theme where it's Bobby's broken lines, if I could find them throughout the week. Stay with me. Laviska Shenault over half a rushing yard. It's on Caesars at -115. Over half a rushing yard. Why? Why would that even exist? So he had one rush for 9 yards last week in week 1. For his career, he's had at least one carry in 12 of 14 games. He averages one rush per game for his entire career. He averages 5 yards per carry. Now, Travis Etienne, kid from Clemson who got hurt, he gets injured. It moves Shenault into that role that they were looking for with Etienne. Can he line up in the backfield? Can he take end arounds? I think this keeps the defense honest. They are going against a very tough defense. I'm fully aware of that. I think he can get at least one carry, one end around, maybe one direct snap just to keep the defense honest and give Trevor Lawrence a little bit of room to breathe. It's one rush. It's essentially one rush. If he can turn it upfield, this one hits. It is kind of random, but I saw it and I had to jump on it. So Laviska Shenault over to get one rushing yard. Can he get one rushing yard?
Hey, that's a fun play. As a guy who loves watching Colorado last year, or 2 years ago is actually when I really started watching Colorado. Shenault's like the pocket knife guy. You know, he's got every single tool in his belt, and they use him as a utility player. You are, my friend, you are a beast at finding these hidden gems.
I'm good at randoms. I'm good at finding random things. And if you think who the head coach is, it's Urban Meyer. He's a college coach. They put everything imaginable in the playbook. It would not put it past me to see Shenault get a wildcat play. Maybe they do a double, a flea flicker, a double reverse. Anything is possible. I do think the defensive matchup is tough, but one carry based on what he's done for his career, 1 yard. Just give me 1 yard, man.
I'll go ahead and wrap it up with my play of the day. This is not my play of the day, another play that I enjoy. The Kansas City Chiefs. -3.5. They're traveling to Baltimore for Sunday night football. I'm terrified to lay this, but I have to trust my gut and have to trust my cap here. The Baltimore Ravens looked god-awful in the secondary and looked god-awful against Darren Waller. Without Jimmy Smith, you could tell that it was the Marlon Humphreys, I have to do everything show. And what they were doing was they were trying to catch Marlon Humphreys on the double moves because he knew that he had to be responsible for multiple parts of the field in his assignment. It just was great play calling by Gruden and company. And the Ravens are in trouble. I think they're in trouble this season until they get healthy, because there's a lot of weight carried on those shoulders of Lamar Jackson. You saw he fumbled the ball multiple times because he has that pressure. He has to fight for every extra yard. And let's talk about Max Crosby. My man was in the backfield every single play. You're not going to be able to have an inefficient offense and go against the Kansas City Chiefs. I know anybody watching the podcast, since the podcast is going to tell me the Kansas City Chiefs are terrible against the spread in their last 12, blah, 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 blah. But listen, they match up very well against the Ravens. The last 3 games they played against the Ravens, they're 3-0, 2-1 against the spread. That half a point is an interesting factor to me, because I do think it's one of those pivotal numbers in NFL, the 3-point margin. But if you look at Kansas City Chiefs, they still are over 4 points for margin of victory, which makes this something that I'm a little bit more interested in. How on earth are they going to cover Travis Kelce? Oh, wait, they also have to cover Tyreek Hill, who had over 190 yards last week as well, over 17 yards per catch. Like these are things that Harbaugh is going to have to realize that this might not be their year. And it's just totally unfortunate. Like, I'm not writing them off. I know they're going to be a playoff team, but I mean, I don't think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender because of the injuries and the cards they were dealt. And I'm going to attack them this week with the team that I have winning the Super Bowl in the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, this is a great play. We're completely aligned. A couple things that I wanted to point out. Is this the Sammy Watkins revenge game? Who knows? I love playing teams on short weeks, playing against teams on short weeks. Baltimore played on Monday night. It is one night, but I think there's some value and some merit to it, even though they are coming home. I know I said home openers. The secondary is torn to shreds. We saw what David Carr did. Derek or David?
Derek.
We can do it.
435 yards.
Torched him. Completely torched him. I can't imagine what Patrick Mahomes is going to do. The secondary is banged up. The front seven of Baltimore is not what it used to be. Matthew Judon is gone. I do like Patrick McQueen as an inside backer, but the pass rush I don't think gets there. And you talked about offensive lines that completely revamped in the offseason. That's exactly what the Chiefs did. They drafted Creed Humphrey. They let Eric Fisher walk. They brought in a new left tackle. So I think if you can get a Kansas City Chiefs spread under 5 points at any time in the season, you have to take it. Yeah, no,
I totally agree. As you guys can get the theme that I'm a big efficiency ratings guy, and I think it's going to lead our way a lot this podcast. So I'm glad that you mentioned the revamped offensive line for them. Any last words as before I close everyone out?
I have a monster parlay that I posted today with my $5,000 credit that I got from hedging. It is Logan Thomas tonight, over 4.5 receptions. I put that out for Thursday night. And then it is a 7 other money line, heavy favorite money lines. It is $5,000 to win $85,000. I went big or I went home. I'm not going to get this chance again to kind of throw that money around. I don't have the wallet to be throwing $5,000 around, but with a credit like that, I feel comfortable with the teams that I picked. Check it out on my page. And best of luck, Brett. I think we're gonna have a good lineup this week.
Yeah, I'm stoked about the games, guys. Thank you for listening to Bankroll Blitz. You can follow me at Mr. Brad Thomas on Twitter. You can follow Bobby over here at Prop Holiday. That's 2 L's on Twitter, and follow Bankroll Blitz at Bankroll Blitz. Have a great weekend of betting, guys.